All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to be in the 147-pound division where Adrien, the problem Broner, busts out Terence Crawford and his plans for his next fight after David AVANESYAN. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division talking about what Adrien the Problem Broner had to say about the Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight taking place after Terence Crawford fights David AVANESYAN for his to defend his WBO championship belt. Now, before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're a longtime subscriber and supporter or a recent subscriber and supporter, thank you guys so much for your continued support. Really does mean a lot. In this particular video, I want to say thank you once again to my guy, Aaron Muhammad. Also wish Deborah Booker and all of the other people in the chat who may be going through some types of, illnesses. Hope you guys are well. 3 gongs for your health, all of that good stuff. And also thank you to everybody that supports in the super chats and the cash apps and in the super thanks, where you can thank people in these, where you can support the channel in this video with the little heart and the $ sign that you see in the lower right hand corner of your screen. So Adrien Broner just recently signed a deal, 3-fight deal, my understanding is, with BLK Prime. Got his hands on some money so he can, so he can pay off some of them things he got going on in the court of law. Good for Adrien Broner. Glad he got his money. Hope that he gets his money, rather. And if he did get his money already, I'm happy that he got his money. It's one of the reasons why I actually may eventually buy a fight from BLK Prime. I like Adrien Broner, been a supporter of him, through his ups, through his downs. You know what I mean? Seems like because no matter what he says out in public and how his fights go, he seems like a really honest and honestly, a very nice guy. So he gave an interview. I did a video about the first video about it yesterday, where he was interviewed by Blue Blood Sports TV. Definitely check that channel out. Sure, you already know who it is, where that is. Where he gave details about what happened between Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis in his sparring match. He also, though, said something about Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr., which I found very interesting, which was that they are going to try to make the fight between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford next on BLK Prime. Let me repeat that they are going to try to get Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford to fight on BLK Prime next. So what does that mean to any reasonable person? Here's my conclusion. Terence Crawford is not going to fight Errol Spence Jr. next because that is far-fetched, to say the least. Let me explain to you why I say that. 1, Errol Spence Jr. already has a working relationship with Showtime and Fox, who air his pay-per-views. And Terence Crawford going over to BLK Prime is going to flop like a fish out of water. Period. So if they go back to the negotiations with this proposal, hey, Errol, I want to fight you. Here is what we want to do. We want you to fight me. I want you to fight me on my network, BLK Prime, for X amount of money. What we're going to wind up seeing is a rewind back to what Terence Crawford said happened the first time. They're going to say, what about the back end? How much are we going to make on the back end? Especially since your back end for Terence Crawford versus David AVANESYAN fight is going to be somewhere around $2 million, something like that, right? If you're lucky, what is 10,000 times $40? That is really 400,000. So if you do, I would say, hey, man, let's give you credit and get you up to 20,000, 25,000, maybe 50,000 pay-per-views. At 50,000 pay-per-views, you're at $2 million. If it does what Eddie Hearn says that it will do, then more than likely what you're going to wind up having is somewhere around a $400,000 back end on the pay-per-view. Now, it may get bigger if now that they have agreed to have that pay-per-view aired by channels or a distribution network other than BLK Prime, but it's not going to grow that revenue significantly. So more than likely, you can get rid of that idea. Now, the other side of that is it was originally said that Terence Crawford had a one-fight deal with BLK Prime. Okay, then I have to ask a question. Then why in the interviews where he's talking about BLK Prime is he saying that we're going to take over boxing? That we have, that this is a new movement in boxing where he's not speaking as if he's on BLK Prime for one fight. He's speaking as if he's got an ongoing relationship with BLK Prime, and he believes that he is going to be able to change boxing on this network. Well, how will that be if your very next bout against Errol Spence, you leave the network and go over to Showtime, right? So right there, Terence Crawford has built in another network riff, the same network riff that you had that prevented Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford from fighting for several years to begin with. It just does not look good. And so now when Adrien Broner says this, is this something that you should believe? Honestly, I think that it is something that is very, very realistic because if you're going to get somebody to give you $10 million cash up front to fight a mediocre fighter and they're willing to do it again, and then you're going to go and negotiate with somebody who is a bigger draw than you that is going to want a bigger piece of the pie, and that was your thought process the first time, why would your thought process change the second time? I don't see why it would. And in fact, Terence Crawford is literally saying, hey, if this, I hope we can fight next year, but if it doesn't happen, hey, it's just one of those fights that go down in history as never happening. Terence Crawford is probably not going to fight Errol Spence Jr. And that's why I did that video saying, look, man, you cannot be on my pound for pound list with that, because this is about that very, very much could have been made. And Terence Crawford very, very much walked away from it. And if the next proposition is going to be, well, Errol Spence Jr. come over to BLK Prime, over to my network to fight me, more than likely that's not going to happen. Because Errol Spence Jr., unless Errol Spence Jr. is just somebody that says, okay, whatever with the relationship with Showtime, whatever with the relationship with Fox, and whatever with the relationship is with the PBC, I just want to go fight over here with him for some guaranteed money and no back end. I just think that is far-fetched. And on top of that, I have a suspicion that Terence Crawford wouldn't take the bout if he did do that, because that may put in jeopardy a third fight over on that network. I just think that man is on scam time right now. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.